first speaker is Honorable Emma Hippolyte, Minister for Commerce, Manufacturing, Business Development, Cooperatives, and Consumer Affairs. Honorable.
Thank you, everyone. It's my usual pleasure to be here. I think today I want to speak on two critical things. Last week, within the Ministry of Commerce, Wednesday and Thursday, my team and I left the office and we visited some of our business places. On Wednesday, we started with St. Lucia Distillers, and we went in to see the marvelous work that they're doing at the distillery. And I would really want to take a moment to invite you, the press, to go down to St. Lucia Distillers to sort of look at the quality of what is happening there and to understand the journey from Rosa Valley, what is happening with sugarcane, what has moved on to bananas. But within St. Lucia Distillers, and to see what exists now, what continues to exist. It is a part of our history that we must really appreciate and take time to document. So I was really pleased that I went there and to see what they're doing, to see how the products that they have, the quality of the products, and they're made by our St. Lucian persons with the right skills. So sometimes we need to take a moment and to recognize that we have some quality people around us in different fields. So we went to St. Lucia Distillers. After that, we stopped at Ancillary, and there's just a little bakery on the main street, and to see the effort. There, to me, it was some persons, they have not benefited from the MSME, but they have applied. And then you see the effort of this couple in terms of using plantain to do bread, cassava to do bread. Again, using the products that we have and adding value to it. And when we speak about putting our people first, and when you think of what you're doing within the MSME in terms of the loan grant facility and the youth economy, they are the persons that we're targeting. How do we take those persons and give them a new lease of life? We went into the back place where they were baking, and the temperature was killing. We need to assist these people too, because they have a product that they can upscale. We then stopped at Place Cassav in Canris. Again, a product that has been there for a long time, because I was associated with that product maybe 2 decades ago when I was at the National Research and Development Foundation. When we started, it was not Place Cassav, it did not have that name, but when we looked at commercializing cassava in the community out there. And then you see the growth. They had a devastating fire there. And now when you speak with them, the journey in trying to bring back that business. And again, having a conversation, seeing the different products where they've taken our traditional cassava and have now explored it and placed it into different varieties. And now we need to work with them to improve the shelf life. So that is one of the issues that we have to do. And what was very nice, I saw they have taken this same cassava product and turned it into a product for cooking, which is like a gravy brownie with seasoning. I'm saying all of that to say that what we are doing as a government within the MSME loan program is critical. I got to Soufre, and then we went into and that time it was a restaurant business. I think it's 3Bs at the beach park, again benefiting from it. The Thursday, we went on to the other side. We started in Miku with Furniture City. And then you go out there, and I sort of juxtapose that business 10 years ago, approximately 10 years ago, when I visited them. And you could see from that time the skill sets, the use of technology, and where that business has moved and progressed to now. I'm saying that so that our people must understand and see, know more about these products, so that we ask you to support what is local. So we moved from Furniture City, and we went to, I think it was Angers-Micoud. And there again, there's a gentleman there with the use of our MSME products, is now, with the tools that we've given him enough funds to purchase equipment, but also he has expanded his place as a machine place. And you could see that now we need to work with him to get proper markets for his product. We moved from there to Deriso, and there's Harvey Designs, a gentleman, and again I was pleased that he accommodated also our young people in terms of the training and apprenticeship program. And there he's doing different graphic designs, providing material for vehicles, number plates, and so on. And we ended up at St. Louis Woodworks, where we see a new type of technology, where there is mass production, linking products for the tourism industry. I'm saying all of this to say there are stories out there that we need to share. So I am encouraging you to do a bit of investigative journalism and help us bring all these nice stories to the fore. We at the Ministry of Commerce, we have a project called Love St. Lucia, and that's what it is to encourage St. Lucians to purchase locally made products, whether it is garments, whether it is foodstuff, whether it is furniture. Let us work together to support our St. Lucian manufacturers, large and small. So today I am very happy. Over the weekend as well, for me, is seeing what is happening in Sufa, for example, in my parliamentary office over the weekend, Saturday in particular, distributed checks to over 200 parents. And we have over 400 names, persons who are going to benefit from the school assistant program funded by the government of St. Lucia. Persons with one child receive 300, 2 children receive 500, and 3 and more receive $700. Again, this is the government of St. Lucia putting the people of St. Lucia first. The issue of education is critical for us. It is through education that we are going to move our people from poverty. This is one project among several that the government has put in place. But nowadays, it is the after-school program. But in my conversation with the parents, I took a moment to exhort them, to remind them that the government is doing all of this, putting the environment in place for our children to learn. But there is also another part of that, what is happening in our homes. Our parents, and the conversation I had with them, our parents must try to discipline, bring spirituality in the homes. Because if it is not in the home, then it becomes a challenge in the school system. Because by the time the children get onto the school system, you have already shaped their little minds and brains already shaped in one direction. So we have to do a lot more work within the homes to change what is happening on the ground. Because when your mind is shaped properly, you do not participate in the crime outside there. So, with these viewers, I want to wish us well. I want to wish St. Lucia well, and I want to say, always put God first. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Hippolyte. Honorable Alfred Prosper, Minister for Agriculture, Fisheries, Food Security, and Rural Development, will now come to the podium.
Good morning, everybody. I'm very happy to be here this morning to discuss or to, just mention a few things happening in the ministry and the government. The first one is that you would recall sometime in May, during the dry spell that we experienced, we as a cabinet took a decision to declare St. Lucia on May 17, 2024, a water-related emergency. Our stakeholders at that time felt it was necessary to take that action or decision because during that time our rainfall was extremely low and it was having serious negative impacts on our water intakes, especially the Roseau Dam. Last week, the Cabinet of Ministers, based on a recommendation from the key stakeholders, that is Water and Sewage Company, the Meteorological Services, and the other stakeholders, took a decision to revoke the water-related emergency effective immediately. So all the restrictions we had in terms of use of water during the water-related emergency has been lifted, and now people are free to use water as normal. And I'm not saying because we've revocated it that you can just go and use water lavishly. We must understand this is a very, very important resource to our country. But at least we were able to take that decision to ensure we as people of St. Lucia continue to get a reliable source of water. And this happens because we know we have two distinct seasons, a dry spell and a wet period. Now we are going through the rainy season, and the Water and Sewage Company and the other stakeholders are of the view that our water intakes, especially the Roseau Dam, have been replenished, and now we are in a position to revoke it because we are comfortable that the levels are sufficient to maintain life as we have been doing. Secondly, I want to indicate that as of this morning, today, more than 200 parents in Dennery South will be receiving a small check ranging between $300 to $1,000 to assist parents with educational supplies. We know our parents have been going through this every year, and the good government that I'm part of, every year since we came into office, have made available a small allocation to the various constituencies to assist parents. So I do appeal to all parents in Dennery South. And in Dennery South, we do not give one set. We give everyone who is qualified to receive the support. In the next few weeks, I will be receiving some more educational supplies. We have over 100 school bags coming from the US, including notebooks, pens, and pencils that we will be further distributing to our parents. I want to just take this time to go to my ministry. I want to continue to say that we are giving extreme support to our farmers, especially the farm labor program. We started this farm labor program on the 3rd of June of this year. We started with 90 workers, but we targeted 175 farms. To date, we have gone past the 175. We are 257. But the good news is that as of the 2nd of September, we are going to add another 100 new workers to the program, take it up to 200. We are hoping that will be able to provide further support until the last day of December to our farmers. And that is geared towards reducing the cost of production of our farmers. Our farmers would have had to pay workers to fertilize, to harvest, to do site prep, to spray. Now this is something that is being paid under the World Bank program, and we are hoping our farmers will take full advantage of it. We just distributed 500 water tanks to our livestock farmers, and we are in the process of procuring 2,000 new water tanks for our crop farmers. We are doing this because we understand the importance of food security, the importance of being able to feed our nation, the importance of being able to reduce our food import bill by encouraging our farmers to grow what we eat and to eat what we grow. There are a number of other initiatives under that program. We are in the process of procuring 46 new greenhouses to give to the schools and some of our farmers. We have also identified over 200 farmers to provide support in terms of greenhouse plastic. Currently, as we go through this rainy season, there are a number of crops that our farmers will have to struggle to plant. Crops like tomato, cucumbers, lettuce, cantaloupes, watermelons, because those crops are very sensitive to high rainfall or waterlogged conditions. So we are working towards assisting those farmers to ensure that we do not have a gap in terms of those commodities, because if we continue to have a gap, it means our food import bill for those commodities will continue to remain high. As we speak, we have an activity, an on-farm drainage program, where we are providing financial assistance to farmers to assist them with cleaning or digging the drains or maintaining the drains on the farm. And we are actually paying them a sum of $500 US per farm to assist them with getting the labor to be able to do that. We are hoping that in the next month, I think the date is the 27th, we are going to be having an opening ceremony for the Wallet Agricultural Station. You will recall that a month ago, thereabout, we brought in 154 new breeds of goat, sheep, pig, and cattle. And we are hoping that we will be commencing an artificial insemination program using those new breeds to be able to develop the livestock sector. So we're going to have an opening next month, and I'm inviting the media very early to be there to see the progress that we are making in terms of our livestock development. In closing, I want to call on all St. Lucians to remind them of the walk of progress or the march of progress that we are having this Sunday, 25th August. This march signifies all of the good work that our government has been doing, and we are hoping that people will come in to help to participate in the march, to celebrate with us. The march or the walk is significant to us because it's the first time in St. Lucia we are going to have a walk of progress. And I'm sure you would understand just one example. Our government has brought down the unemployment rate to 11%. So it means out of every 100 St. Lucians, only 11 of those persons are unemployed. And this is a remarkable achievement for the government. We are hoping that we can continue to take it down to its lowest level as possible, because we know how important. So I just wanted to mention that, to call on my constituents and all St. Lucians to be present in Castries at 3 p.m. on Sunday, 25th August.
Question, Mr. Minister. Honorable Ms. Emma Hippolyte mentioned cassava. I know a few years back our cassava program, the exports of cassava was going very high, but then to sustain it was a problem. You would give me a report on the export of the cassava, where it is, because that was a big program then. Also the tilapia, where are we with the tilapia? Are we seeing something bigger with the tilapia and the shrimp? Give us a report on that, and especially the cassava, because the cassava exports to Martinique, I believe we've reached a certain quota where we could not even sustain them. Where are we with the cassava production? Are we doing more basically to send a little more to Magnet?
Well, as you say, it's an area in terms of value added in the agricultural sector that I'm concerned about, we are concerned about. Cassava, many years ago, was a very big activity. I remember in the areas of Oleon, Debarra, Moshi, and those dry areas, we had lots of persons into the whole cassava business. It is unfortunate that this number has gone down quite a bit. And just last week, we had a meeting and we were discussing how we can encourage the farmers to get back into this product. I remember going to Taiwan and I realized that every single produce they had, there were so many other products being developed out of it. And I did have a discussion with the persons in Taiwan to see how they can assist us in doing that. We had a lease agreement with an individual for the Babono. I can't remember the name of the facility. The processing facility in Babono. And we realized that since 2018, nothing had been happening. And just last week, we were able to end the lease agreement. And this area is now open for proposals because we think there is tremendous potential for value added in terms of using that processing facility. We are actually putting what we call solar voltaic systems on that because the cost of electricity is extremely high, all in an effort to reduce cost of production and to encourage persons to be able to get in there. I believe this is the time for us to focus on more value added products. For example, our bananas. What is happening to our bananas in terms of getting out to Barbados and the other countries, but products being made in Barbados coming to us? But the good news I have for you in terms of our bananas is that currently we are in discussion with a developer, someone who has this real bright idea that will be using the banana stem to convert it into sanitary napkins. And as we speak, the building at Belfashions in my constituency is being developed, upgraded, to be able to make that happen. So at least once and for all, our farmers will be able to not only focus on harvesting the fruit, but there is value in terms of the stems that they will be cutting and allowed to rotten on the ground. The tilapia, the aquaculture program in St. Lucia is not doing well. And if you drive to Union, you would see all those aquaculture ponds that have been there and have been not active for the last maybe 3 or 4 years. Because the issue of funding has been a problem, but under the UBEC program, this area is earmarked for major development. I went to Guyana sometime in January for a small team, and they have agreed to provide us some level of assistance in terms of the fingerlings and other things, that technical support that we need to develop it. Because I do believe that if we talk in food security and we continue to have an food import bill that is increasing, currently it's over 200 million US a year, and that is extremely high. I believe as a small country, as a small nation, with over 6,000 farmers, we should be able to do a lot better than that. And I'm hoping that we can come together and identify all those areas, those challenges we have, the cassava, the tilapia, the dashin. Just yesterday, I spoke to an exporter, and he told me he needs 19,000 pounds of dashin weekly for the US, but it's not available on Ireland. And I recall having to visit the constituency of Soufrière-Fontaine-Jacques with my honorable colleague, and she has provided tremendous support, $1,500, I think, for 54 farmers to really get into increasing our dashin production. So while people may be thinking that we're not doing well, the markets are there, but I do not think we have done enough to consistently have those products available for the outside market. But I'm concerned about this situation, and I know it is something that we are doing our best to address in the short to medium term.
I'm going back to the unemployment figures, which are, like you said, commendable. But I want to connect it to the agriculture sector. How do we get young people more interested in getting into agriculture? How do we make it more attractive to them? Because, I mean, traditional agriculture might not necessarily appeal to them. So how do we make it more attractive to them?
New technology and innovation. That is a simple answer to it. Our young people will not get involved in agriculture if they continue to see their parents doing the same thing. We have to bring in new technology that will attract them. You can stay right in your backyard if you have a drone, and you can fertilize or irrigate or use pesticides in the field. But our traditional method is the young people will not get into that. Innovation. You know, we have a serious challenge of climate change. And to be able to deal with this emerging problem in the agricultural sector, for example, we must be innovative. We must be innovative. We cannot depend only on the rainy season to cultivate crops. Because it means that in the dry season, when you have no water available, it becomes a problem. And our food import bill will continue to increase during that period. Agriculture is supposed to be year-round, and the new technology, innovation, is critical to attract our young people to get in. But going further, we must have a program that will encourage our young people from maybe 6 and 7 years to get agriculture in their mind. Because it's not something where you leave school and decide, I'm going into agriculture. If you prepare them from early, have a what do you call it? I can't remember, a program in school that can help them to understand the importance, to understand the benefits, and to understand how it has developed this country. I think that will go well for us in the future, and to ensure that we have a very, very sustainable agriculture, production, whatever, in St. Lucia, to be able to take care of our food security and our challenges that we face currently.
Yes, Mr. Minister, we've spoken about the importance of travel, transporting goods for the region, whether it be agriculture, whether it be manufacture. And then I think recently the Guyana government proposed some kind of transport mechanism for the. Will St. Lucia aware of this? And will St. Lucia, be able to participate in such a movement, such an?
I am aware of it because I'm part of what you call the CARICOM Ministers of Agriculture, and on a regular basis we meet to discuss that. So transportation has been one of the major issues, and Guyana has taken the lead to be able to make that happen. Because there are markets, for example, there is a market in St. Thomas. The boat leaves Barbados, it gets to St. Vincent. But from St. Vincent, that boat gets to St. Thomas in 5 days. But there is a supply in St. Thomas who needed bananas from St. Lucia. But when we look at the route, it will take us more than 12 days. So we have a major problem with transportation in the region, because Antigua, for example, the agriculture is not as developed as St. Lucia, but they depend on us for a lot of products like yams and citrus and bananas and plantain. But it's very difficult to get to there. But that would be so good to see Jamaica getting into St. Lucia, getting into the region, whatever product they have, and the same thing, St. Lucia going through the region. We, Jamaica, are the two major producers of bananas in the region currently. St. Vincent is not in the full-scale production of bananas, Dominica, Grenada, but St. Lucia and Jamaica are the two main countries producing bananas in the world.
Mr. Minister, when you said transportation, we know for sure the Minister of Tourism mentioned with the French, right? That boat will only take from St. Lucia to Antigua maybe about 12 hours to reach to Antigua. It's a much bigger boat which can take about, I believe, 25 cars or more. Can we not, for example, go into something, I know for sure the transportation is a problem, have some deal with the French, because that boat goes up to Marigalot, where it stops. Antigua is not far from Marigalot, right? It's just on the other side. And then we could have our exports going inside within 12 hours instead of 12 days, or as you said, 10 days. Can something be arranged with them?
That would be good, and I have no issues with that. But you know what I would prefer? Is a private-public kind of arrangement here, so we have our own. When our farmers know that they can grow any amount of dashing, any amount of tanya, any amount of produce, but they know it can be sold. They will do it, you know.
Yeah, but then you have
So-
the express leaving every day. So that means you have the product going up the road. Because the express could take it, drop it in Marigalot, and that same express goes to Antigua. So then it reaches there in 12 days.
Good point.
In 12 hours or whatever. So then we have it going every day. So why cannot that not be arranged when we already have the problem with transportation and we do have the transport already in St. Lucia? That's
That
the
is
question
that
I'm
is
asking.
possible, and there is no difficulty in it, but it's just a matter of making it happen and ensuring that all countries in the region benefit. And this is something we've been discussing. The other thing, area of concern, and we launched that program last year. We launched an insurance product for the region, agricultural insurance product. And Guyana and St. Lucia are the two countries that are advanced in terms of that. We had a launch of the program. Guyana is set, Antigua is working towards it, and we have an amount of $600,000 that we have in place to be able to be part of this product. We had Hurricane Beryl that impacted the agricultural sector. I think it was over a month ago. And we just submitted the report to the PM. We are hoping that, and we know our farmers always expect some level of compensation now. But I feel it for the fishes of Soufrière, and I'm hoping that very soon from now, our good Prime Minister, in the name of Honorable Philippe Jepier, will make an announcement to be able to indicate what sort of support we will be given to those fishers in particular and the other persons in the agricultural sector. But that is something that is not sustainable. Having an agricultural insurance program will reduce that level of getting funding from the government every time to be able to help those farmers and other stakeholders who are affected. The agricultural insurance will be able to take care of that. But our farmers will have to understand, farmers and fishers and others, that it will not be a government on its own to make it happen for them. We will expect them to make a contribution towards it, because at the end of it, it benefits everyone in the sector. Thank you very much. Yes.
Well, today, 19th of August, St. Lucians around the country would see that our STEP program has actually started. In Soufrière, for example, we have just over 400 persons throughout the constituency, cleaning up, tidying up, clearing our culverts, debushing, and everything else. We have 300 workers and an additional 100 weed eaters on the ground for the week. That is the government of St. Lucia assisting our workers, but more than anything else, to clean up our communities. As I drove from Soufrière to Castries today, I saw persons who were on the road. We have a lot of overhangs all over, some rather risky, but we have the entire week to clear this up.
How long will the STEP program?
This STEP program is for a week.
Only for a week?
For a week. But each constituency, as I said, for Soufrière, I know we've gone a little beyond that. We have some people with chainsaws. We've mixed it up with other things because because of the rain, we have quite a bit of bush all over the place. So to clear up and to make things look presentable, we have a community program, the STEP program, with a difference. Over 400 persons on the ground.
From all the communities?
For the Soufrière constituency, yes.
It is
It varies from constituency to constituency. Yeah. Okay? Thank you. And again, that walk of progress. Walk of progress. Every St. Lucian have benefited from this government's 3 years in office. Every one of us, from the person who's doing the cooking and buying the gas at $40, the government has already put in the $20 for you. Anytime you go into a bakery to purchase, whether it's a bread or anything out there, the government has paid part of that product for you. So this is your moment to say if you're happy with what is happening with our government. Don't forget the students, as I've mentioned, the back to school, all the issues, all the social programs. When you think of the housing program, especially for Soufriere, the roofing and everything else that we've done, we have touched the lives of every citizen in this country in different ways. So let us give God thanks, but let us participate in the March for Progress. Thank you.
MP, sorry about that. Just a quick question, two quick questions, and then if you can. Just following up from those who would have been affected by Hurricane Beryl. In terms of the support that you've been able to provide, can you fill us in on that and how many people received?
Well, not received. We had two, in fact, for Soufriere, especially for the fishing communities. For Soufriere, we had, before Beryl, in February, we had approximately 10 of our fishers that got their fishing boats damaged. We first sent the program to one of the World Bank assisted programs. We're having some challenges there. So we presented that report to the Honorable Prime Minister. And then we have Beryl, where almost 90% of our fishing boats in Soufriere got damaged. We had an extensive report, and that is also before the Prime Minister. So hopefully today, you've heard the Minister of Agriculture saying the Prime Minister is going to give us some assistance. So we're hoping that with a meeting today with the Prime Minister, that an announcement will be made on that. In addition to that, what I did was to go through the market in particular, the Soufriere market, because you have persons from Deriso, Swirzel, Canary, Soufriere, and actually went to every vendor, because they're farmers and vendors, to find out what damage they experienced in Beryl. And some of the farmers do experience some damage, so that report was also prepared. So we'll see how we can give them a little bit of soulagement there.
The other one is, are you in a position to shed some light on the job figures?
The job figures?
Yes.
No, I'll send the Minister for Labor to you there.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Take care. God bless.
Thank you very much.
Morning, everybody. Morning.
Tell us about it, sir.
Okay, so you already know who's going to be presenting next. He doesn't need an introduction. Yet I will introduce him.
Yes, please.
Our final speaker, Honorable Kenson Kazimi, Minister for Youth Development and Sports, and don't forget MP for Rosalie.
I'll start with Lord.
Yes. Morning.
Morning.
It gives me great pleasure to be back here today from my stint in Paris, where for the first time in our history, St. Lucia was able to capture that elusive Olympic medal. And of course, very delighted at the fact that it is a gold and a silver. So very, very happy with the performance of Julian Alfred. Of course, have had a very good conversation with her and the other athletes. I want to say congratulations to Michael Joseph as well. His first experience at the highest level. And as a young 21-year-old, I think there is a lot that he would have learned. And with him, the potential is immense. And I'm certainly hoping that as his parliamentary rep, he continues to put in the work, and as a Minister of Sport, that we can find every avenue to make as much resources available to him so that at the next Olympics, he himself can bring that medal home for St. Lucia. The other athletes, including Jean Adam-Smith and, of course, Luke Chevrier, I'm going to continue to encourage them to do their best and to continue to represent themselves, their family, and, of course, St. Lucia with the high level of distinction that they have represented us.
As somebody who saw history live. What was the mood like inside of the stadium, and in terms of what it meant for St. Lucia? Put it into perspective.
First and foremost, I had to speak a lot of Creole in the area because the general conversation all around me was that of Shakari Richardson. And I made mention to every one of the other members from the Olympic Committee and the other sports ministers that this was St. Lucia's time. I indicated before the race actually started that you are about to witness history. And just before I press record, I turned to the ministers that were there and I said to them, "Do you believe?" And of course, their smile and smirk indicated that, what is this guy talking about? Until Julian crossed that finish line first, and the emotion, the absolute elation, the mood, the quiet, the silence around that particular area. When I looked around, of course, the likes of Alfred Emmanuel and the others from the Caribbean were the only ones screaming at the highest they could have. The Caribbean had won a gold medal in the 100. And so all the other individuals that were from the Caribbean, they were not surprised. They were absolutely elated. And that feeling, that euphoria, watching history live, I will never, ever, ever be able to replicate because it was the first, and there's only one first, for sure.
All right. We do not want this to be the only time, or at least the only time for a long time going forward. Now, while you were gone, I'm sure you've been briefed about it. There have been conversations about the management of our athletes. One of them was the conversation about a particular swimmer that was not selected for the Olympic team, and then other conversations surrounding that. What can we do to ensure that this is a springboard for success going forward?
There is a window of opportunity. Thank you for that question. There's a window of opportunity that Julian Alfred has provided us as a nation. Note I said us as a nation. I'm talking about this government of St. Lucia, the opposition, parents, teachers, corporate St. Lucia, young people from all over, the elderly. There's a window of opportunity that has presented itself right now for us to have proper conversations as it pertains to sports development in St. Lucia, as it pertains to the educational aspect of sports development in St. Lucia, as it pertains to the strategy of honing in on skills and ensuring that we nurture it much like we did for Julian Alfred and ensure that global icons are created in St. Lucia. Of course, I will speak ad nauseum of the importance of the Ministry of Education and the fact that they have come on board with the Ministry of Youth Development and Sports to establish on the weekend inter-schools competition. And we continue to thank the likes of First National Bank, who's come in at $100,000 to sponsor that event. And this is where the breeding ground is going to continue to be. But even before that, the communities, the Grosilets, the Cicerons, the View Forts, the Miku, what actually happens in their early life in the communities, the encouragement from friends, families, onlookers, coaches. These are the things that are going to ensure that we pass on that information that you really can do it. We really can come together as a nation to develop our next generation of athletes. And of course, I've spoken ad nauseum about the fact that at secondary school, at primary school, and of course, Julian did speak about primary school, the competition at primary school being better, the attention to primary school. And this is something, as a minister, we are continuing to hone in on to ensure that the next generation of Julian Alfreds are found very early and that we as an entire nation can come together to do what we need to ensure that we have even more gold and silver medals at Olympics coming.
Yeah, there's one more question on Julian Alfred in particular. A lot of questions have been asked as to what should be done to honor her. Now, many sports commentators have said that something should be done in sports in particular because that is how her legacy remains. I mean, just putting up a monument could just, it might be nice, but her legacy would remain if something is done in sports. What do you believe should
First
be done?
and foremost, Julian Alfred winning gold and silver at the Olympics has provided opportunity to market St. Lucia like no other activity. I've gone on record and I've said previous to Julian Alfred the time St. Lucia got the most amount of hits in terms of searches on internet, in terms of persons being interested, is when Darren Sammy lifted that second World Cup. And again, that is through sport. Julian Alfred has multiplied that 1,000,000-fold. And so the potential that she has, or what she has done to bring economic development, is not just to the sporting fraternity, it is to St. Lucia. So honoring Julian Alfred for me is not honoring her as an ambassador for sports. It's honoring her as an ambassador, as an individual who has put St. Lucia on the map, and that everybody knows that you have an option in St. Lucia to have a vacation, to have a wedding, to go and do rock climbing, mountain biking, and to enjoy what we have, sea and sand in St. Lucia. And so the opportunities are there. It is important that we hone in on what has happened in sports over the years. Have a look at the sports budget and see how it is that we could always lobby for an increase to ensure that we can do what we need to do to have more of that sort of influence on the entire economy that Julian Alfred has. So we've set up a committee that is looking at the overall celebration for when she comes in, and of course a sort of paper will be presented to Cabinet for Cabinet to opine on in terms of how do we recognize what Julian Alfred has done for St. Lucia. I've had conversations with Julian. I've had conversations with her agent. I've had some thorough conversations with some of my Cabinet colleagues, and the discussions have been very, very good coming out from the media, from Facebook, and all of those things are going to be taken into consideration. And most importantly, that conversation with Julian Alfred is going to be given the highest level of priority in terms of her recognition.
Okay, my question, where are we on the drafting of the amendments to the Public Health Act that's governing the issue of noise pollution? This issue has come back up again. How soon we can see?
My information is that by the next sitting of Parliament, we should have something on the table for discussion for every single individual to opine on and make amendments if they want to. But in terms of the legislation, I think most of it is complete by now. And so the next sitting of Parliament would be around the time you would get that information.
When will be the next sitting of Parliament?
That is for the Honourable Prime Minister. You like to ask me things that are above my pay grade. That is for the Honourable Prime Minister, along with the AG, to decide on.
Okay, what are your thoughts?
But I would definitely, I've the conversation, of course, you would appreciate that being the parliamentary rep for Grosley, I've put tremendous pressure on the Attorney General's chambers, the Prime Minister, and colleagues to get this legislation through. And the information that has been given to me upon my return is that we should have something by the next sitting of Parliament.
What are your thoughts on enforcement, though you would have that new legislation, because we have existing laws, and what the complaints are about the fact that we have the police themselves, the same police who are actually breaking the law. What are your thoughts on that?
But you see, the fact of the matter is, I've been voted by the people of Grosley, and I know a lot of the times people don't understand that. One of the primary responsibilities I have as the MP is to definitely speak on their behalf as it pertains to legislation that would better their livelihoods. And so in terms of, that is what I'm part of. I'm part of a parliament, I'm part of a cabinet in terms of what legislation would better their livelihoods. As a parliamentary rep, I have always gone a step further and begged and agitated for the implementation of those legislations. And that is what I will do after we've passed that noise pollution legislation. Am I a police officer? No, I'm not. Will I be able to arrest anybody? No, I will not. But will I be able to write, make noise, go in the communities, find out if it is being implemented, and speak to whether or not we need to further strengthen that legislation? That is the responsibility I take dear to my heart, because it is about ensuring that people's livelihoods are better in the communities.
Okay, and as the Minister of Youth and Sports, I just wanted to get your thoughts. And we've seen, I guess, a few of our young people as part of the homicide statistics, right?
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to get your thoughts on this. And what is the government's plan in terms of, I guess, in curbing this whole crime situation? You as Minister,
you know that's where I'm going. You know that's where I'm going.
Yeah, so what is the plan?
As a Minister of Youth Development, I at the end of the day, have a vision for how it is that my ministry could step in, and not just a vision. We've actively invested in programs like with Wiry to really deal with disenfranchised young people in communities and to, put them in programs to help, move them away from that scourge of crime. I believe sports is one of the answers, and I will continue to say sports is one of the answers, and I will always speak to the St. Lucia Boxing Association. They have done tremendous work in the View Fort, in the north as well, going in schools, going in communities. You want to quarrel and fight? Come and do it in a boxing ring. Let's channel that anger. Let's find out from you what exactly is going on with you that has caused you to react like that in school. I mean, they've really had an uncanny way of bringing people in boxing. And St. Lucia has won the OACS Boxing Championship, the Caribbean Boxing Championship. We see the likes of John Didier from a community like View Fort, where you only hear negative about. And by the way, this is another thing that we need to do as St. Lucians. We need to embrace these young individuals that are doing good things. We speak of John Didier, and we still struggle to get sponsorship for him. We still struggle to get those little basic things that can get this young man at an Olympic level. And we speak about crime. And so we, as a Minister for Youth, there are a number of programs and activities that we are doing. We are about to have the roadshow for the Skills 758 app, where young people can put their talents, their skills and capabilities in this one area that could attract persons from St. Lucia, the region and the world, to provide employment opportunities for them. We have the lowest unemployment level we've had in years, 11% right now. So it means that those individuals that really want to double down, educate themselves, train themselves, get some talent and skill, as a government, I believe it's important for us to provide that level of opportunity for them. And through the youth economy and through other programs, we have been doing that.
Can you provide us with some more detail on the job figures in terms of the sectors that would have drawn in or created the 11% drop, and looking at the age range of the individuals who are now employed? Are these new employees? So any detail that you can share with us?
Well, for now, upon my return, I really just looked at just the information that indicated that we have gone down to 11%. In terms of the actual specifics, I'll probably be able to give you all that information by the next time we come in. But when I came in, that information is going to be provided by the Department of Statistics as well. But generally, if you look at what has happened in St. Lucia from the Cricket World Cup in terms of the employment of individuals in the construction sector, in terms of the tourism figures, in terms of the amount of arrivals we had during that month of June and then July for Carnival, you would understand that there are a number of opportunities being made for young individuals, for middle-aged individuals, skilled and unskilled individuals to really get employment opportunities in this country. And if we are serious about moving this country forward, we will be trying our best to guide these individuals from off the streets and from off the blocks into what sort of opportunities that are being created to provide them with employment opportunities.
I just have one other question before I pass the mic over. There was such a deafening silence on the killing of the 13-year-old Tixie. The government of St. Lucia, I think the nation wanted to see that level of empathy from the entire cabinet. And it was deafening. There was nothing coming forth. So one would stand to reason that two things: either the government is itself jaded by all of the crime taking place, or two, that the government itself has been desensitized in a sense that it's just another killing. Can you, and you yourself didn't make any public statements as Minister for Youth. Can you tell us why that is?
Okay, so I can speak for myself. When a 13-year-old is killed in such a tragic fashion, for me, it hurts. It really gets you thinking. As somebody who has 10-year-old twin girls, there's no desensitization on my part. There is no lack of empathy and there is no numbness. It really, really hurts. And of course, from my vantage point, being in Paris and seeing what was being spread over the newspapers, you really have to sit down and, like a strainer, you have to try to find out what is true, what is not, what is rumor, what are the facts. From my vantage point, it was very difficult for me to actually hone in. I don't know if it's because of the time difference in terms of when I made phone calls as to what actually happened so that I can make an informed sort of statement on this fact. Because given the area that it actually happened and the history of further down south and what has happened before in terms of, tit for tat sort of killings, there really was a lot that I just did not know. In terms of making a public statement, I can say for sure that as a Minister for Youth, we continue to speak to all sectors of society to come on board to deal with the scourge of crime. It's really not just one answer. I'm not one of those who like to make excuses. I believe at the end of the day, we need to get to the minutiae of what is actually happening in our communities. As somebody who's done a lot of sociology, I believe that all sectors, I'm not going to just blame one sector. I'm going to say the religious society. I'm going to say the social workers, the family, the system actually has to really come together and decide and see what it is that we can do that can prevent those sort of things from occurring in our communities, because these things are happening right in our communities. And you hear some of the rumors, you hear some of what is being said, and you want to get the information and the facts. I can tell you, I do not have all the facts right now. But it is a huge travesty that this has occurred, and I certainly hope that moving forward, we as a people can come together and do better.
So, when did you travel to Paris?
What did I travel? I was away for about two and a half weeks. Yeah. And after, of course, obviously after Julian, I had a number of meetings that I attended.
Just to add to what you said, what information are you waiting on for you to make a statement? What information?
So let's be very honest about what has happened over the last 3 weeks for me and my ministry. I will not say that my ministry would have been desensitized or would have taken the eyes off what actually happened in terms of a young individual, a 13-year-old being killed. But there were so many efforts by my ministry in terms of programming, in terms of interventions, in terms of my ministry provides families as well of victims, especially young victims, with psychology, in terms of being able to sit down at the table with a professional, that we provide that avenue for dealing with those things. And so these were some of the things that we would have done in that interim. To make a public statement, I could definitely get in more information, and I probably could have gotten more information to actually say exactly how I feel. But just for the purpose of this interview, I can tell you that I was absolutely gutted. I certainly hope that we as a nation, we are paying attention to what we can do individually to really prevent those things from happening in our communities, and we can all join in the fight collectively.
Yeah, Mr. Minister, just quickly, we place emphasis on sports promotion, and we starting from the grassroots, starting from the home front. But what I would like to point out is we also have athletes in the global arena. We've seen these basketball players. I went to Soufrière one time. There was this kid who wants to open up a volleyball court at the bay. So the influx of these athletes, could this add some emphasis, some highlight to our whole sports development program, because they would want to now, promote St. Lucia more as a sports destination. So would their inputs help, to elevate that standard, that field?
Here are the facts. We have a rich repository of talent in this country, in all sport disciplines. We have individuals that could really flourish if they are given the best opportunities to. And this is why I am one of those that would definitely attend a March for Progress this weekend, because I believe we've really shown significant progress in the area of sports development in this nation. we've provided a lot more attention for our elite athletes programs to these individuals that we've identified as elite. And it's very important, and it's high on my agenda in terms of talent identification and therefore the investment in nurturing those talents. And we've done that very well. We have a high performance center in cricket that has been doing very well. And again, we're about to see 4 of our individuals from cricket, our high performance center, move on to get contracts at the Windward Islands Cricket Board level. So this is a plus for the program that we have in cricket. You would notice in terms of football as well, the semi-pro league is one where a lot of individuals could come in and see some of our talent and export it to be nurtured even more. And of course, the developments that we're going to continue to have in our facilities, not just the Darren Sammy and the Grosley and the Soufre and the other places, it is definitely going to make it more possible for our young people to thrive at the highest level.
Okay, one final question.
I have 3 questions in order for
Yeah.
you, I guess.
So you'll decide to leave the AC off today? Who made that decision?
Okay.
Oh, it's not working? Okay.
The first one you said earlier, let's speak about Julian Alfred. I'm going back there. You as a sportscaster before, as a minister, you know the problems that we do have with those kids. Sometimes they get frustrated, not enough funding.
Absolutely.
Right. We have a big problem there. Sometimes we do have maybe the other Julian Alfreds and they have escaped. They gone down the drain.
Yeah.
Now the problem is basically to get the funding, and that's where I believe we shooting ourselves in the foot is the funding for them where they get frustrated. Not enough funds. Some of them come from those poor families. They are there and they just go down the drain. That's one. The other one.
Do you want me to address that? Because I really want to address that. So you want me to remember everything you just said, and then the next, you want to ask me all 3. You want to ask all 3 questions.
Yes, I want to.
Go ahead.
Okay,
I just hope I can remember.
A lot of people are saying, I spoke to some top sports people, and they're saying, with what you have done, you mentioned, with what you have done, you put us on the map, basically. The Julian Alfred Invitational, I believe, is something that you might be watching soon. And they have said, are you looking into the Julian Alfred Invitational? That's already more money for the country, through tourism, etc. And my last one, just Friday, I spoke to, I was so surprised while in the Castries market, I spoke to one of the food networks. She won Top Chef, and she just came to see
Where
what was
Julian
down there,
Alfred
and she mentioned Julian Alfred nutrition. And while we were there, they say, you see what green fig and bucks can do. Julian Alfred did them with green fig and bucks and the boapin. She beat the burgers.
And green fig and
she beat the
saltfish.
burgers, yes.
Red food and saltfish.
She beat them. So me green fig egg bucks. So on the nutritional side, what she is saying, St. Lucia maybe might have to push that a little more. I interviewed her, and she said, get our kids, more into, what is ours. So I don't know if it's something that you're going to put nutrition into the sports to a certain sense, because while we have the outsiders seeing it and coming on TV and saying it, what are we doing about it?
Okay, so let me answer your second one first, because it's, nutrition and sport. I don't think there's been a sports minister that has emphasized nutrition and sport since becoming a minister than I have. If you look at what we've done in terms of the high performance center, one of the emphasis was on ensuring that there was more sports nutrition, sports information, nutritional information, so we can decide on whether or not what Lisa is putting in her mouth right now is the best at this moment. So we needed the actual footballers, the cricketers, the athletes to actually, consider what impact everything they put in their mouth would have on their performance. And I'm huge on that. Of course, I some time ago gravitated towards a pescatarian diet. I've done a lot of research and I've done a lot of reading on why it is the best way. I call it the Jesus diet. Turn fish, multiply fish and multiply bread. That's a different type of bread, though, St. Lucia, not the ones we have right now. But there is a reason why eating more fruits, more vegetables, more fish provides the best level of performance for our people. And so just that knowledge, that movement from hand to mouth is something that we just want. We even from the semi-professional football league to everything we've done, we continue to encourage our young athletes to consider the impact on the body. So that is something we're high on, and we're expecting to reap huge rewards in the near future. In terms of the conversation about Julian Alfred, and some of the suggestions, the Julian Alfred Invitational. I'm not sure we may be able to call it the Julian Alfred Invitational, considering she will be participating in it. That's the vision, the St. Lucia Invitational, because she would have, and of course with meeting with the Ministry of Tourism and the agent, would have been the central point of marketing and St. Lucia to the rest of the world. And so the St. Lucia Invitational is something, even in my discussion with her, that we are definitely looking to do once we've gotten these individuals out of the stadium and we've refurbished and redesigned the George Autumn Stadium. We also, in every single one of my exit interviews with the athletes in the village, the Olympic Village in Paris, I make it a duty to have those little exit interviews about the experience, what they think I need to be doing as a Minister of Sport, what we can be doing as a government. Every single individual, the administrators, the athletes mentioned one thing, and that is what you mentioned, finances. It is just a fact that we need to go back to the budget, look at what we are doing, and invest more, not in just the sport or the activity or the glare of a competition, but the individual athletes. And I think I've had a number of conversations with my PS director about the individual athletes' needs, because once those needs are met, we see what can happen. This government took the unique position. As a matter of fact, as I spoke with most of the other ministers at the Olympic Village, we discovered that this was the only nation that a government decided that a semi-pro, in fact, a collegiate athlete, Julian Alfred, that a line item in a budget of $200,000 was placed for this athlete to transition from being a collegiate athlete to a professional. So for that year, this individual didn't have to worry too much about rent or about a training schedule, about physiotherapy, because that item was placed in the budget to help her get that level of assistance. And we've seen what this can do. We do have an elite athlete program. We're having discussions on how it is that we can fast track those requests from athletes for the funds from the elite athletes program that is in our ministry's budget. And of course, ensuring that the National Lotteries Authority can provide a quicker avenue for financing for individual athletes. That being said, I'll continue to say to the public, to a diaspora, to corporate St. Lucia, and to everybody who has that capacity to just help out, provide some financial support. Financial support is needed. Some support in terms of gear, in terms of whatever else that young athletes can use. We need to develop that culture where we can do that for our athletes, and then we will see more of Julian Alfreds in St. Lucia.
Just to round off my point,
Mm-hmm.
I was saying that the global athletes, the inputs would help us to do this development. Say, for instance, we have Stewart Chance and Collegiate soccer professionals now into St. Lucia. We have the basketball guy, we have we have the volleyball guys, we might even have track and field. Would we be able to embrace these global athletes helping St. Lucia raise this?
Absolutely. It's definitely something that we will be doing. I recently was in contact with a Ronald Promise. I'm not sure if St. Lucians, this generation knows of Ronald Promise, but he was one of those individuals, 100-meter champion from St. Lucia, former record holder for St. Lucia, the 100-meter record holder. I'm not sure if he still has that record, but 10.1. And I remember growing up, idolizing him in terms of his just raw talent and technical abilities. He has reached out to ensure that even our athletes that are in secondary school that have that talent and capacity could be sent to his school, because he's a head coach, a very competent head coach overseas. And so right now he's having conversations with my permanent secretary to see how it is that we can identify those talents that are entering into secondary school, and rather than spend the entire time here, send them to a place or school that has better facilities to ensure that they flourish. So we're definitely looking into that.
Is there a semi-pro cricket league coming? This is the final question.
Yes, there is a semi-pro cricket league coming very, very soon. We've been having a lot of discussion after Cricket World Cup that as part of our legacy, we have the format of the SPL T20 with Hassan Aristide. We've had a number of conversations with him, with the Minister of Tourism and myself as we look for an appropriate date and time. Stay tuned, stay tuned, stay tuned.
Okay, thank you. That's more fun than here for the snack.
That's what I call that. You see, I don't depend on any snack buy. You see, from my home, I make sure I get what I get at my home. I know that's what I want. So.
Yes. Questions?
PM, are you in a position to share with us some of the details on the job figures? We know that we've seen at 11%. Are there any details you could share with us on that?
No, well, the statistics department, as they normally do, they've reported that St. Lucia has got 11% rate of unemployment. That figure comes from the different measures and etc. They have been doing that for decades, for ages. The Prime Minister never is not involved with the compilation of the figures, but I can tell you I'm very pleased, and I think I'm looking forward to single-digit unemployment very shortly. I'm extremely pleased with that. It's a record level of unemployment. I wish it could be lower. What is remarkable is the youth unemployment has decreased, but in terms of compilation, how it happened before.
Are there new sectors that we've seen or?
Well, you see, there are several. Well, as I said to you, the statistics department can tell you so. I'm not going to in detail on figures, but it's passing strange when figures are bad. No one asks where are the bad. When they good, why are they good? I mean, you can see clearly the level of economic activity in the country. It's clear. It's not a matter, and it comes in different sources. The Chamber of Commerce has said business confidence has increased. We've never had our highest level of deposits at the central bank. The banks are liquid. Liquidity at central bank has at the commercial banks have never been higher. So you can see it. I mean, you don't have to be any. You can feel the level of economic activity in the country, and it's reflected itself in the unemployment figures. As I said, I'd like it to be lower. I'd like to go to single-digit unemployment very shortly.
Because, well, I shouldn't say it doesn't concern you, I'm sure it does. The inflation rate that we are still reeling under, what are your expectations in being able to...
I hope there will be no war in Ukraine and Russia. I hope the Israelis will not attack Gaza. I hope the level of water in the Panama Canal would be lower. I hope the Suez Canal would traffic there would have been easier. I wish for these things. I really wish that I will control the cost of imported goods. If I could do that, I'll reduce inflation to zero. I really wish I'd find the time when there was deflation. I wish I could have managed a government when there was deflation. There's not. The fact is, inflation is important. To pretend that inflation is only a factor in St. Lucia is basically hypocrisy. Everybody's concerned about inflation. The entire world, the United States, England, Barbados, but to believe that St. Lucia will be the only place that will be sheltered from a worldwide issue is hypocrisy. The government of St. Lucia has done, as I've said before, we do not control the cost. We try to control the price. I've said this several times before. What have we done to try to control the price? We've removed the 6.5% on consumption, on service charge, on goods that people use regularly. We've removed, there's no tax on health and security level. Right now, there's a study between the exempt and the zero-rated items to find how that can happen, see whether that can cause a decrease in the price of goods. It's passing strange that, remember, there was a big barrage, a big barrel industry. People in the U.S. are saying that they prefer to send the money to St. Lucia for people to buy it in St. Lucia and buy it in the U.S. That's a fact. So I know the inflation discussion, which I'm concerned. We've done all the measures possible, but we cannot control the cost of imported goods. There was a time when I tried to recommend to people that they eat locally produced food, and I was ridiculed. There was a time when I recommended people that they should try to eat more of what we grow. I was further ridiculed. So all the inflation is 100% imported inflation. The markup here, the essential goods, we've tried to control the markup. We've put more goods on the price control. We've done that. In terms of sanitary equipment, to halt or to try to reduce. And it's part of the situation. I've been here in the great United States. People are still talking about period poverty in the great United States. And in St. Lucia, we've tried to take. So, regardless of what is said, I'm very proud of where St. Lucia is. I'm very proud. I'm very proud of the strides we've taken as a government to have this country with an 11% unemployment rate, the lowest in history, to have a country where investment has never been so buoyant. In fact, as I said to you, I'm expecting a single-digit unemployment very shortly. I'm very proud to have a country where we just injected $2.5 million in education supplies for the people of St. Lucia. I'm very proud to have a country where we are starting a massive road program, which is going to be unrolled very, very shortly. I'm very proud to have a country where I visited St. Jude, and the progress in St. Jude is satisfying. Very satisfied. I'm very proud to have a country where we're going to be investing $10 million in the first instance. And you may be very happy to know that will come from the CIP program into the OKU hospital. $10 million in the first place to pay debts that have been there before July 2021, to be paying these debts. And the Ministry of Finance is going to be injecting a further $5 million. So in terms of the OKU hospital, we are going to be injecting $15 million. That doesn't mean that if you go to the hospital tomorrow, things will be better. We don't run hospitals. But I can tell you, in terms of the financial obligations of the government, we're going to be injecting $15 million into this OKU hospital. And very shortly, I'm going to make a thorough statement on how I intend to deal with the financial situation in the Ministry of Health. Financial. Into administrative, etc., will be left to the experts. So, tell you the truth, I know there are issues, but I'm very satisfied with the cooperation of the people of St. Lucia and where we stand now as we embark on the work of progress.
I just want to ask the PM with regard, and since you brought up the OKEU, with the president for the St. Lucia Medical and Dental Association, we did hear what Minister Richard Frederick said pertaining to the president, Dr. Mulcahy.
I didn't know. What did he say?
You will at the same function.
What did he say?
With him when he referred to as a Zelev of the UWP.
Oh, he said so. Okay. He called her name? Did he call her name? Did he call her name?
He made reference.
Did he call her name?
He made reference.
Did he call her name?
I can't be certain if he recalled
Okay.
her name.
I didn't recall he called her name. Okay, go ahead. What's the question?
In any event, what we are seeing, though, however, on certain platforms, and the platforms that seem to be aligned to the St. Lucia Labour Party, her name is being clearly called out with photos of her, and with some of the most disparaging comments on those social media platforms.
I don't subscribe to that, and if it's happening, I'm not aware. I don't subscribe to that. I'm not subscribing to disparaging remarks about anybody. I don't get involved in that. So I can tell you, Philip J. Pierre is not associated with any aspiring remarks or whatever you call it about anybody. I do not believe my politics is about performance. This is why I've been re-elected 6 times. I don't get involved in this thing. I don't get involved in it. I can't control other people. But I am not involved in any remarks about any non-politician. You've never heard me say anything disparaging about any civil servant. I will never do what I will never do what I saw about Alison Jean. I will never subscribe to that. I will never. I don't believe in that. I believe in dealing with politicians because they are the ones who upfront in politics. As far as professionals, I do not get involved in attacks in individuals. I'm a politician. I am fair game. Talk show hosts can come after me. I'm fair game. And I don't even respond to them. A lot of things I can respond, you know. A lot of things I hear, I can respond. But I don't, because it's fair game. I'm a politician. I'm a public figure. So I'm fair game. But in terms of journalists, I'll never call a journalist a jailbird. I'll never do that to a journalist. I will not get involved in attacks on people or journalists. I deal with politicians.
Would you as political leaders say the same to your base and supporters?
I've told them I can't, you know, in this business you can't control everybody. I will never tell them they must go to war. I'll never tell them so. I'll never tell them it's time for war. I will never tell them that tomorrow morning I'm going for you. I'll never tell them so. I'll never ask civil servants. I'll never ask the director of public prosecution to go and do his job. I won't do that. My job is to ensure that I put the necessary policies in place and I am getting results for the countries we're involved. So all these side shows, and all these side shows, I want discussion on policy. I want to know policy, what policies we're going to implement to reduce inflation. I want to know what alternative policies we can have to cause certain things to work better in the country. I'm ready for that discussion. I'm ready for all these side shows, all these things that just want to divert people's attention. I'm not getting involved in that. So from me, my position is clear.
You mentioned the CIP, and before I pass on to my colleagues, I just want to ask, and happy that, so the $10 billion
is not,
CIP,
yes?
is it coming through the NEF, the National Economic
No. You see, if we'd listened a little more, we would have known, we would have understood a few things better. There is something called application fees that is paid for the CIP program. From there, after that, there's an excess. The $10 million are coming from the excess fees from the CIP program.
Is that in the National Economic Fund?
No, that's separate. These are fees, yes.
Fees separate that the government has complete control over?
No, the CIP has, and the government requests from the CIP whether to use it.
Okay. Let me also ask PM, and bear some patience with me, please, colleagues. Mr. McCloud Emmanuel, there is information coming in to me through DBS television that you were fully aware of Mr. Emmanuel's trip to Washington, D.C. to speak with Mr. Philippe Martinez and his lawyers. However, you did indicate to the press that you were not aware that Mr. Emmanuel was taking that trip.
And that's the bombshell? Listen, let me tell you something. I am saying nothing about CIP, so don't ask me. Here's my position on CIP. There is a case in the court. You have 100% evidence to go to court and put anybody you want in jail. Go to court. We're not talking about American court, so they can use the excuse, political interference. No, it's the great America. That's their court. File everything in the American courts. Get all the evidence. Let the American courts disclose, and I will take action. If the American courts say that any of my ministers committed any fraud, I will take action. I am not, and don't try to get me in, I am not making any statement to create any sideshow, to create any emotional thing about a matter that's in court. If your case is very strong, I'm taking you to court, I'm very strong. I have evidence, I have paper, I have document. Go to court. Why must we try the case out of court? Why are we trying a case out of court when you put it in the courts already? Let the court processes continue. Why is that happening in St. Kitts? Why isn't that drama in St. Kitts? And in St. Kitts, you know, there are 2 prime ministers involved. 2 prime ministers. Now you're talking about McCloud, a clerk. There are a clerk in a business. There are 2 prime ministers involved. 2. No, you have to laugh because I'm glad you understand the irony of the thing. There are 2 prime ministers involved in St. Kitts. There is no drama in St. Kitts. Nobody is calling the talk shows in St. Kitts. Nothing. 2. The head of the CIP unit in St. Kitts if his health, whatever is involved. There are big wheels, big guys involved in St. Kitts. No one calls the talk shows in St. Kitts. No one calls the talk shows in St. Kitts. In terms of passports, the problem arises in St. Kitts. But we are assuming that he must get involved in St. Lucia, and you want me to get involved in that? Listen, I have a country to run. I have a country that is on the brink of economic takeoff. You know what I'm concerned of? I'm praying God that we don't get a hurricane. So I'm not getting involved, so I'm saying nothing. So tell the promoters of the bombshell, I'm not going to report. I'm not going to answer. Tell the promoters of the bombshell, I have no concern with the bombshell. Tell the promoters of the bombshell, I am not speaking to anybody. Tell the promoters of the bombshell that Philip J. Pierre is not going to get involved. So the bombshell can explode, it can bomb, I am not involved. That's all I tell you, that I am not involved. So I don't lose sleep over bombshells. My position is go to the court. Finally, there is a case in the court. You have bombshell, you have shells, you have ballistic missiles. Put it in the court. Go to the court with all these missiles and let them explode. And if Philip J. Pierre is guilty, the court will say Philip J. Pierre is guilty. So that's all I'm saying. I'm saying nothing about that. My position has been clear. One, there's a matter in the court. Two, there's an audit report that's going to be coming out very shortly. Three, when the time is right, we're going to have the international firm look over the CIP. And four, we've signed the articles, the MOU, and we're going to call into the laws of the MOU. That's all. I am saying nothing, so you can advise them that the bombshell not going to bomb me. Yes.
Putting aside the political nuances attached to that situation with the SLMD president, going back to the actual issues, there were concerns about lack of resources at our hospitals.
Yeah, for a long time.
First of all, how has the government met with the SLMD president, one? And secondly, what will be done about that situation?
First of all, let me reiterate my position. My position is that I am very grateful to the nurses, the doctors, the healthcare workers, everybody. I'm very grateful. They work under trying conditions. Trying conditions. I'm very grateful to them. Secondly, we know that there are space constraints at the emergency ward. Right? Now, the Medical and Dental Association, and it's not good to go back in these things. It's good for the history, because so much of the history is contorted. And then I would like you also, I'd like you also as a young journalist, and I know Lisa is an experienced, competent journalist, to advise the young journalists on going back a little bit and do some fact-checking. OKU Hospital came into being after COVID, during COVID. That's a fact. You know that? You didn't know that? It came into being during COVID. It was not there before COVID. So let's not get mixed up. Right? Now, there was a transition team. I was in the cabinet. Dr. King and several... Where are you going? You don't hear the question again. Sorry. Take it they say that you walk out for me,
Yeah, that was not what happened.
Right. There was a transition team that was formed to convert Victoria Hospital to OKEU. That team was led by Dr. Stephen King, with a series of experts, people from the French countries. There was equipment, there was training, and I can give you, and documentation is available for that. Good. That happened. That team was formed around 2018, because hospital administration is not easy. We try to make this thing look as if it's a simple thing, and not easy. Obamacare is still under pressure. Obamacare is still under pressure today in the great United States. part of the policies or part in England was the National Health Service. You must understand the ding-dong between the Labour Party and the Conservatives and the Independents about National Health Service. But we pretend in St. Lucia as if the government is so bad, and from October 21st, healthcare got so bad because the government is not doing what it's supposed to do. Healthcare, and you all know that, is a very, very ticklish industry, very all over the world. Now, so there was that transition. Now, you know, when I make a mistake, I say, listen to me, I made a mistake. Some of you criticize me for that. I say, I made a mistake, I was wrong. You ask me something, I say, I do not know. Some of you criticize me and say, oh, I should know everything. I'm not God. Right. Now, what I don't understand is people refuse to say when they made a mistake and there was a misjudgment. They refuse to say. And they go wrong, lie, misinformed about things that are easily verifiable. OKU Hospital came into being during COVID. That's a fact. I said so. I was criticized. That's a fact. The transition team that was formed was fired. That also is a fact. So what happened? There was a hastily put together movement to go into OKU because Victoria Hospital was busting at the ends. That also is a fact. So the real, and that's what I'm trying to avoid in St. Jude. That's why I'm not making any statements on St. Jude opening dates. Because I want to have a proper transition. Because moving from a hospital is a different culture. You had problems with the nurses. It's a different culture coming from Victoria Hospital. Like the board. Victoria Hospital was never used to have board administration. So there were a lot of teething problems in converting Victoria Hospital into OKU. Having said so, when OKU became a statutory board, it was given to manage by, let's call, civilians, not doctors, civilians, with a board. On that board, there were doctors, and there's a medical director who is in charge of doctors. So, you find, in the emergency ward was not built to deal with the number of patients it is receiving. The emergency ward was built to deal with about 30 to 40 patients. But right now, with the prevalence of non-communicable diseases, people get strokes, they go to the hospital. The emergency ward is full. Then you have the gunshots and the wounding. So if when at some time, a place that was built to hold 40 people, sometimes there are 60 and 70 people in there. So, number one, you have space constraints. The nurses, the OKU board and the doctors have agreed that they need more space. But there is a facility where it's a boarding facility. There are people who do not care for their parents or their relatives. So the government has between 15 and 20 people in hospital beds that ought not to be there. What do you do with them? You understand? So things are not as simple as you want to make it. So in the space where they could have expanded the emergency ward, you have boarders in there. Boarders, people who just there because they have nowhere else for them to be. Right. First problem. So we have to move them. Secondly, in terms of medication, there are supply chain issues. I went to church yesterday. I go every Sunday, so it's not because elections are coming. Right? I heard the priest say, he said, the price of candles has gone up because the imported price went up. I said, wow, blame Philip J. Pierre. The price of candles in the church. That's what he said. Yes, that's what he said. He said the price because of the imported price. So I told him to blame me. I said, blame me, my fault. Now let's go back to the hospital. So what we're doing is that it's a major problem that we have. The Medical and Dental Association, they have their issues. We agree that these issues are pertinent and we try and solve them. So here's how we're solving them. First of all, we're dealing with the financial issues, the old bills. So we are putting $10 million directly in dealing with these old bills and $5 million of working capital from the government's treasury. Because of our financial, we can find that. So we put in $50 million in immediately. Do you know that there were suppliers that are old from since pre-COVID? Yes. We don't tell these stories because we're in government. The people elected us to run the country. So we don't go and carry all these stories about pre-COVID. People who used the respirator. We owe them. These are local suppliers. We owe the French government $2 million for overseas care. You know from what year? 2001. We owe the French government. And I want to thank them for being so patient with us. So what I'm going to do is I am going to try to put the health sector on a proper financial footing. So I've started with the $15 million, and I'm going to make an announcement very shortly on how we're going to deal with the financial woes of the health sector. Hopefully, when I do that, I will be able to free the hands of the health administrators to get their act together, because the supplies would have been there. They would have been able to buy medicines, etc., and they can move forward. So that's my plan. But in the meantime, it will not happen immediately. You won't get changed in the hospital tomorrow. But that's my plan. So the $15 million, 10 immediately, and I can give you the list of the payables. You see, all what we do is transparent, And that's why I can talk without any fear or favor. You understand? And that's why bombshells don't worry me. Because, my father used to say, soup, if you have cocoa in sun, you're looking for rain. I know I must be the target. I found it very low. I said, why haven't they come behind me yet? Why? What's wrong? I knew they had to come behind me. It's just, they have to come after me. If they didn't come after me, something was wrong. They had to come after me. So, let me tell you something. You see, when I go to sleep, I have a good night's rest because my conscience is clear. You can go in my bank account. You can go to Rico. You can go to Roro. You can go... Anyway, there is nothing for Philip J. Pierre. Nothing. So, yesterday, plus all my friends called me. Boy, what's wrong? I said to my friends, there can be no bombshell about me. There can be no bombshell about me. The any bombshell about me is a lie. That's right. Or something made up to set me up. And I've said to everybody that when I know that I've done anything that I ought not to do for the interests of people in St. Lucia, I know what to do. My job is a temporary job. I don't believe my father died and left St. Lucia for me. The people of St. Lucia, through the people of Castries East, you have elected me 6 times to be the representative. I am forever grateful to them. And I will serve them with the best of my ability. But I don't believe that I must hate people or destroy this country if today or tomorrow I'm not in government. If I'm not in government, that's the will of the people. But I will not encourage hate and disunity and enmity and go after people's... you know what happens to a family? Not me. I'm a politician. I'm fair game. Not me. You know what happens to Alison Jean when she goes on social media and sees that they wrote because she was fired? You know what happens to that lady? A lady who came from humble beginnings, become a permanent secretary, headed one of the best, the largest regional institutions in the world, in the region, the what do you call it? Carry lek. Why do you do that? But I must tell you, I haven't heard you report that. I must congratulate you for that. Lisa, I must congratulate you for that. That has not been reported. No, I give and take. You haven't got this dark web. You haven't followed this dark web. Then they do that all the time. That's not right. That can't be right, Lisa. You can't damage somebody's reputation.
But I must ask you,
Yes.
is there any truth to her
No.
resigning?
She left her contract over. She didn't resign, and she did not take it. Did not. What do you call it? Renew it. Yeah. But why must you stay in a job all your life?
So she chose not to renew.
Yes. And the chairman called me and he said to me, he's going to be making a statement to clear the air. Because you see, when you all put these things, when I say you all, definitely I'm talking about you, the world sees it. The entire world sees it. This reputational damage we're causing to people, that's not right. That's not right, you know. It's
So
not
can
right.
you now enlighten us as to whether the chairman of the CIP resigned?
I am not aware that the chairman has resigned. I'm not aware.
Do you
And
have
is it
on
supposed-
these matters?
Okay, let me tell you how I run my government. I think you want to know. You want to know how I run my government, right? Let me tell you. I appoint ministers in a ministry, and the Constitution says they are in charge of running the ministry. I'm the Prime Minister. I have 4 ministries that I run as a minister. I do not get involved in every every little thing in anybody's ministry. I expect my ministers to report to me when they have to report to me. So truth is, I run my government different to many other prime ministers. In fact, some of my colleagues have told me, why do I run it like that? My ministers have independence, full independence and autonomy in the ministries. So all things that you asked me, and I said, well, I'm not aware, I have to go back and ask them. I don't run this one-man show. I'm a consensus builder. I don't get involved in one-manship, individualism. I trust my ministers, and I've said to them, once there is any proof that they've gone corrupt, I will deal with them. They know that every day.
So have you been briefed on all the happenings with the CIP, considering the cloud that's hanging?
Yeah, but I do not know what's wrong with the CIP. I have been.
You have no question.
No, let me tell you. What information? What I know about the CIP is that the Europeans wanted us to have a united CIP. There's an MOA, which I didn't sign initially, and the press came after me. Fair game. I said, why? I've signed the MOA. There are some other steps. And next week, the directors of the CIP are going to meet in Grenada to go through the MOA, missing in action. They go through the MOA and deal with the points there. That's going to happen. What I know also is that the bank has been very, very, very strict on the due diligence processes. Very strict. Because the bank is clear that any money that comes into the country must be clean. I don't know if you have that problem. They call me a PEP. A PEP, you know a PEP. A person. Do you know my daughter could not open a bank account in St. Lucia? Because she's a PEP. She's rated. So that's what I know. For the CIP, here's what I know about it. I know for the CIP, that's what I know officially. The bombshells, I don't know. I know officially for the CIP that no foreign government up to today, what time is it? 1:30, has never called upon the St. Lucian government for any wrongdoing in the CIP. None. I went to Europe. I spoke to the EU. I'm in constant contact with the Americans and the British. The Americans gave us a 6-point plan to review and to implement in our CIP. St. Lucia has done all. I think there may be one that has not happened, one, but I'm sure they've done 5 out of 6. More than all the others. There is a checklist. The ECCB now is involved actively in our CIP. Actively. There is a meeting next week in Grenada for all CIP heads to deal with the issues as it relates to due diligence, etc. Now, anything else? I don't know.
Does it concern you what has befallen Dominica with its correspondent banking?
Dominica, is that a fact? Or are you Hessel?
No, the Prime Minister himself at a press conference.
And he
in
said,
this country
what did he say?
Did indicate to the media that there were issues with the correspondent banking.
Okay. The point is, there are always issues with correspondent banking in the entire region. If you follow the media, you'll see them in Barbados. There was a question about, you see, because correspondent banking is a very sensitive issue. The entire region has problems with has issues with correspondent banking. Issues because of the money laundering laws, etc., etc. You can't open a bank account. That's not because of CIB you can open a bank account. It's a generally you can open a bank account. The entire region has trouble. And if you came to the CARICOM meeting, you know what we must not do today, sir. We must not try to isolate St. Lucia for our own. When I say I don't mean you, for our own purposes. We mustn't isolate the entire region. In fact, Mayor Motley has spoken. It's called de-risking. The word for it is de-risking. Mayor Motley has spoken reams about de-risking. So that is what is dangerous, Lisa. What is dangerous? I know, and I don't want to get political, but excuse me. There are certain things that responsible people must not do. Responsible people must not do. Regardless of the politics. Because there are certain things you mustn't do. When you have a situation where you can cause undue attention to be paid to a massive issue like the risking, you must exercise restraint. Because it will not change when you get into government. St. Lucia doesn't recognize Philip J. Pierre as Prime Minister, or Riani Isidore. St. Lucia recognizes a government of St. Lucia, government. So when we create these unnecessary problems, let us suppose we win the government. What happens when we get into power? And that is why I was so cautious when I became Prime Minister. I was so cautious. That is why I took things step by step. Some of my supporters figure I was too slow. Because I understand the consequences of stopping policies, stopping things that are begun. I was grilled for the Millennium Highway. I could have stopped it. You know the pressure I got, you didn't used to come that then. All these guys gave me a lot of pressure about the Millennium Highway. I said, no, let's continue with Carl Williams. Let's continue. Because I knew the consequences of stopping it. Right now, it's going. So I just want to tell you, St. Jude, again, I took time because I wanted to find out whether the box was feasible. Because if the box is feasible, I'll continue the box. And there's nothing you don't know about the box. Do you know that the box was not intended to be a standalone hospital? I'm sure you didn't know that. The box was intended to work together with the buildings I'm working on there. So, I would really like to have a discussion on the things that people make and the things that are controversial in this country, including the CIP. But the minister is in charge, let the minister do whatever he wants. In terms of that discussion. No, but my interview request, I answered you already. Let me tell you my request. Let me tell you again what I'll do. Anything you ask me, I will tell you. There is a RICO case. If you have all the evidence, go to court and get your remedy from the court. All the evidence in the court. I'll tell you too, it's American courts, so you can't accuse us of undue political influence. That's what I'll tell you. I'll tell you that there's an audit report of the CIP which is going to be put out anytime, momentarily. I have seen it. I'll also tell you that there is an international review which is going to happen shortly. I'll also tell you we've signed the MOA and we're following all the steps as far as the MOA is concerned. That's all I will tell you.
So did Mr. Emmanuel brief you about his trip? Because I asked you that question before.
Mr. Emmanuel, the last time I knew him, he was an adult.
Sorry?
The last time I saw him, he was a big man.
Yes, but he went to DC and he has indicated that you were aware that he went to DC.
Uh-huh.
Did he speak with you about the details of those meetings?
Why do you think I should tell you what Mr. Emmanuel tells me? I involved in rural, you know. This is a rural thing. I tape him, I pay the tape. I'm not a rural fella. I'm not involved in rural. I have a country to run, listen. You see this rural thing? He called me, I'll tell you what he said. But I get involved. I don't get involved in that. If Emmanuel did anything wrong, and Rico Fine did anything wrong, Emmanuel will pay the consequences of his actions. He's a big man. He's an adult man. The last time I knew him. So if he did anything wrong, and whoever it is finds he did anything wrong, he'll pay the consequences. Right now, what I know is a case has been filed and there has been no verdict. So why must I get involved in discussions as there's no verdict? So no matter what I say, let me something. Let me ask you another question. What is the purpose of all our discussion? I want to ask you a question. Tell me, what's the purpose? What is
knowledge, public information.
and the case? Welcome to the case now. Thank you. Why isn't that activity in St. Kitts, where there are 2 prime ministers, including a sitting minister? You have to answer these questions. I'm not questioning you, but these questions that you have to ask. Why aren't we in St. Kitts? Why aren't we in St. Kitts? My friends in St. Kitts tell me, boy, they say, Prime Minister, I feel sorry for you. Why you? Because we have no issue. The man in question, I don't know him. I've never spoken to him. I will not speak to him. I have no dealings with him. But why is there so much activity in St. Lucia when nothing has happened in St. Lucia? That's the question I want to ask you. Why all the activity in St. Lucia? This is baffling me. So much activity in St. Lucia. I know St. Lucia is the Helen of the West. I know that. But why is this much activity? No one can tell me what is the purpose of all that activity. What do you intend to gain by all that activity when there is a RICO case? There is a case in the courts. The people involved were aggrieved enough to go to court.
Does the case concern you at all?
When the verdict will concern me. Because you can see, in our system, you can still innocent until proven guilty. The verdict, and I'm waiting anxiously to hear the verdict. The verdict that convinces me.
Speaking of CIP,
okay, yeah.
What did you do with CIP funds this morning, sir?
This morning, and I want to take care you get the CIP thing, the CIP funds wrong, eh?
Yeah.
Let me tell you, I have to do that all over again. Let me repeat to you how the CIP works. The money that the CIP can offer the government is what is called excess funds. That is the residue from the administrative fees, etc. This morning, we gave 200. We gave, I don't want to say the amount, to the Seeds project in Viewfort. We're also going to give $10 million to the OKEU to pay some outstanding bills for the hospital. And in terms of educational support, we will be putting $2.5 million for educational support.
Using funding?
The excess funding from the CIP program, yes. But we've been very careful in how these funds are used. So I'm very happy that we're having that discussion. And some of my people tell me I speak too long to the press. I get concerned about it. The time I speak too long to the press. But you know, when you have nothing to hide, you speak. I have nothing to hide. I have nothing to hide, you know. That's why I'm not worried about bombshell. I have nothing to hide. Nothing to hide.
So there can be nothing that can show your involvement
No.
in the CIP
No.
so-called scandal.
No. I can look it in your face and tell you that. No. Nothing.
Did Mr. Emmanuel reveal to you any details of the 2 meetings that he had while he was in Washington, D.C.? Are you aware of any second meeting he may have had while he was in Washington, apart from Martinez and his
we've been
lawyer?
friends for a long while, long before your new friends. Long before, right? No. A private discussion between Claude and myself is not done, is not made for the public. If I have to come, listen to me, I'm the Prime Minister of St. Lucia, you know. People tell me things all the time, confidential things. You won't believe the things they will tell me, you know. You will not believe the things they tell me. You think I'll go and tell people that this one? You think I know? I'm not a Roro fella. I'm not in Roro. I'm not involved in that. What's happening now is Roro. He say, you say, I tape him, I play it. I get involved in that. Nah. My position on CIP is clear. And I want to tell you, early, the bombshell is not going to bomb and explode in my feet. I'm done to hide. Thank you.
Sunday is the walk of progress.
But why didn't I see you yesterday at the youth football? There was such I saw none of the press there. There was such an elevating ceremony yesterday where youth under 12, you just seen these young people, under 12, under 15, playing football. That was such, it was, if you're there, I'm sure you'd have been happy. But I saw none of you there.
The walk of progress on
Yeah.
Sunday.
Uh-huh.
I know this is an unprecedented.
Unprecedented,
event
yeah.
for St. Lucia, to have a sitting government having this march. Why this march?
Why
What's
this?
the need for it?
That's a good question. Why this march? Is because we want the people of St. Lucia to show us, have a physical manifestation of whether they are in favor of the policies of the government. End of August, we are going to be giving pensioners $500 a month from $300. 3,418 people are going to benefit from that. When I spoke to the NIC about that policy, I was not aware that pensions were $300. I was not aware. And since I made that, remember, let's get the facts straight how I did it. I went to the NIC, they had an actuarial evaluation, that's how I do my stuff. And then they said, yes, they could do it. You know the number of people who have been coming and saying, thank you, Prime Minister. Because a lady actually told me, and these things sometimes make you want to stay in politics, despite of the calumny and the lies that have been said about you. Sometimes, because a lady came and said to me, Prime Minister, you see that $200? I can tell you how I'll spend it. And she, that is what keeps me in politics, these things. She told me, I can tell you how I will spend it. And I said to myself, I said, $200 can do so much to somebody's life. You understand? So that is one of the things that we did. And people, we want the public, people like you, to tell us you agree with that policy. Right. So the Work of Progress is a manifestation of support for the government's policies. The minimum wage. Another reason why we think people should work. You understand? So this is why we're doing it.
Depending on the response from the public, what would it determine for your government moving forward? Are you calling elections? Are you going to do better? What is it? Because, okay, for example, if the response is not as positive as we would like, what would you do?
And I'd like you to report on the exact response. I don't want you take pictures at the beginning when the sun hot. I'd say nobody came. I know you doing that, right? Okay, let me tell you something. You know, when you're a politician, you must always get a measure. Because, you know, in this business, as I've said before, it's a very lonely business. Very lonely. No matter the guys of what people may think. Very lonely business. You need to get a measure. And if we can see that the public of St. Lucia support the government's policies and ready to put their feet where their mouth is, we'd have been very happy. If it doesn't, we'll win and come back again. Because we're not perfect. We never said we were perfect. We believe that we are mortals and we'll make mistakes. We're not perfect. But I really hope the public comes out and support. It's going to be a match of celebration. It's almost going to be not really a carnival, you know. But I think we're going to be. By the way, you didn't see me dancing Laos?
Yes, we saw you.
You didn't see me doing that?
We have no camera.
I'm disappointed. Laos, we had a Vive Laos. And you see me dance, girl. You won't believe it. Yes, I do. Especially Laos. So on the 40th, by the way, 40th is my grandmother's birthday. Her name is Rose de Lima. That's it. So I'm going to be saying that. Okay, thank you. All right. Lisa, you okay?